Yeah. I really like it.
Yeah, we'll share the link about the IRO list of
the children, right? Yeah. And how different are the classes or the lectures in a democratic school from a regular school? Just for people to know more or less.
Yeah,
I guess it changes from school to school. So there is the there's like the Sudbury model, I guess, which there are no offerings. They wouldn't put a timetable up, but the children have to go to one of the adults in the community and be like, hey, can you teach me some maths, for example?
Okay.
And then they find a time and space to do so. And it might be students getting together and saying, hey, we're all 16. We all want to, go off and do this exam. We need to find somebody to help us. At Summerhill, it's slightly different. So there is a timetable. And at the beginning of each term, students sign up to the lessons that they want to be able to go to. So they don't have to go to any of them, but it just means that the timetable is then made around what they sign up for, so that they have the ability to go to all those, and those lessons then don't happen at the same time. So there is that timetable that is made, and I was surprised how straightforward the lessons are really at Summerhill, compared to working even just in a state school beforehand, where you try to do lots of exciting things and make things fun and different in a sense. At Summerhill, once the kids want to go to a lesson, they just want to learn whatever they have signed up for. So if they go to to an English lesson, and then 90% of the time you're not actually teaching them anything that they perceive to be English, then they get quite annoyed. So it's you get a lot more done in lessons in Summerhill than you would elsewhere, I think. But they're also much more focused on academics than they are on sort of, I guess, sugarcoating the pill, because in a normal school, everybody has to be in the lesson. So you try to make it appealing to all those people who also really don't want to be there. Whereas at Summerhill, everybody who's in a lesson wants to be there. So you don't need to, get the fireworks out. You just need to teach what they want to learn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's a big insight. Yeah. And it's the same that happened with us, right? As adults, when we want to learn something different, whether, for instance, we had to learn how to do a website. We weren't looking for gamifying the experience or anything. We just wanted to do a website on WordPress, look for blogs and online trainings that just said how to do A, B, C, and follow the steps. And that's it, because we wanted to learn. No one had to keep us entertained about it. So it's the same with kids, I guess. But yeah, it's that choice that doesn't exist in most schools, what makes it difficult, because when you have half the class that really doesn't want to be there, then...
And once that you lose the power of choice, you're just a follower and just receiving the information. You become kind of a consumer of that information, but at the same time, you don't even want to, you're not even interested, no? So you are there, your body is there, but your soul is not. So it gets pointless. But once that you take that decision.
No, and then ultimately, all it ends up being is this terrible term, behavior management. Because all you're doing is trying to manage the behavior that, some kids who might be interested can actually take on a few of the things that are being taught, but the rest you could just want to keep in their seats and hopefully quiet so that it doesn't, go terribly wrong. And that's, unfortunately, a lot of education, I think, has evolved to being more behavior management than actual education. Certainly, looking at my teacher training, there was a lot of behavior management in there, which is almost, I guess it's necessary, but it's very sad to sort of have that as one of the main points of your teacher training, is to manage behavior rather than to teach, which is a thing. But
yeah, I guess that we can also focus as a teacher on the learning process itself, not just on managing the people and the class. Then you can be a lot more creative about the activities. You can enjoy more yourself, the teaching.
Yeah, and if you're
the best example are teachers who, in theory, have high expectations of their students, but then when you go to a teacher training session, as all schools do regularly, it's terrible. The behavior of teachers being, taught something in a room is horrible. Everybody sits in the back of the room. Everybody's constantly talking. Yeah, nobody's actually listening to the poor person who was brought in to teach these teachers anything. So, it's, if a group of teachers who in theory are there to implement this in a classroom can't do it, what hope do we have that the students will? So
I really empathize with that, because we have done that too many times, and also as an offering. So we have been mostly in public schools where we went like, can we share something that we have learned about education? And we came with our documentary film, like a short version, 15 minutes, do a dialogue. And then, as I said, everyone on the back of the room, not engaged at all. Then when we throw them some questions to discuss in groups, they didn't make the groups, they didn't discuss the questions that we asked them to discuss, really nothing. So, well, there were some people, as you said, some people that were engaged, but most of the time it ended up being for us behavior management as well. It was like, what is this? Why are we doing this? So we stopped doing that. It's like, okay, we're only gonna do this if it is requested. Because
if they want to do it, I mean, it's it's so simple. It's really common sense, but at the same time, not really commonly applied.
No, I mean, that's one reason, for example, at the school I am now, we don't have any external rewards or sanctions for any learning in it. There isn't those ticks on the board that somebody's doing well or sitting still or all those things, because we feel it's quite important that people are intrinsically motivated to want to learn. And that might sometimes take longer, because for a 7-year-old learning, I don't know, their phonics or whatever it might be, they don't really necessarily see a whole lot of use to that at that point in their life. So sometimes that's why schools resort to stickers and points and whatever, the class dojos and stuff like that. But actually giving them a bit more time to come to the realization that it's useful is in the long term much more important, really.
Yeah.